Yo, Bachi 2007 back at you with another one. We're going to get back into this case of Jonathan Majors on trial for the accusations by Grace Jabari. And I've come to the conclusion that this case is really all about O.J. Simpson. They are going to get him for what O.J. got away with. And let's just say first to this point, we all know O.J. did it. The police tried to pile on the case to make it more evident, make it more slam dunk, because that's what the crooked LA police did at that time, and they usually didn't have the scrutiny of Johnny Cochran and a gang of other expensive lawyers to look into that, and they got away with it all the time. So they did the same thing they always do, but this time it backfired on them. But let's just be clear that we know OJ did it, and they know OJ did it, and they're not going to let another one, in their view, get away with hurting one of their little darlings. They're going to nip this one in the bud during the assault phase of the relationship, so there's not another Nicole Brown. That is what they intend here. That is their purpose in the way they're moving, because the case clearly demonstrates that Jonathan Majors is not guilty of assaulting this woman, that in fact she is the aggressor, the initiator of violence, and she is the aggressor who continued to aggress in the violence, and that he did not cause the injuries to her, even by her own testimony, left and right, up and down. So we've been covering this case for you. You can check out these two videos here to get the full rundown of what's been happening while the prosecution was putting on their case with Grace Jabari on the stand. And well, they're still putting on their case, but now as of the 6th, which was 2 days ago, Grace Jabari was able to get on the stand, or she was able to be cross-examined by Jonathan Major's defense. Before we get into that, can I get you to like and subscribe to this video? Liking it up is quick and free, easy. Please hit the like button. It'll really help me to grow the channel. Also, consider subscribing and maybe hitting the notification bell to make sure more of these videos get surfaced to you so you can keep up with what we've got going on here and what's happening with this case. So now getting back into the case, we're looking at an ex-Twitter channel called Danny Does Law and Policy. Okay, Danny's does law and policy. That's a weird way. Anyway, that's the Twitter channel that we're on, and it says here Grace Jabari tearfully testifies that the situation has impacted her life very negatively, with a lot of unwanted attention over a really difficult time of her life. Public scrutiny and options and opinions since March 25th is as if the abuse that she was in never ended. Oh my goodness. Okay, so she's British. She's from the UK. And after things came out, and the defense was pushing back way back in March, sometime not too long after that, she fled, went home. She was living here, talking about that she was getting ready to marry Jonathan Majors. They were talking about marriage the day that this happened, the morning of, and that was part of her whole thing. And when Jonathan Majors called for the police to come to the apartment, where she had done whatever she did to herself in the bathroom and sustained the injuries. They asked her about 19 times, did Jonathan Majors do this? And she denied it until about the 20th time. Then she said it was him, after the police basically encouraged her to make that allegation. So now, all of a sudden, it's abuse that's been ongoing out of the blue, when that was never the case initially. But the incident that happened, whether there was a prior abuse or not, that doesn't explain the incident that happened that night, in which she, in those prior videos, if you look at, clearly states that she initiated the act of aggression and that she was chasing him down the street. All right, so getting into the cross-examination that started on Wednesday, it says Grace Jabari has begun, and thus far she appears frazzled, confused, and conveniently forgetful. Claims she didn't remember what time they left for the play at BAM, when she stated it was around 6:30 p.m. on direct examination. So when her lawyers, or the prosecution, the state, was examining her, she knew what time it was. A day later, now she can't remember what she knew yesterday about what happened 8 months earlier. It took 8 months and one day for her to forget what happened. Conveniently, okay. All right. Let's go through up to some other items here. So, quick recap of what's happening in the courtroom with Jonathan Major's trial. And we're going to look at this. So far, the focus of today is the injuries and what happened in, let's go here, and what happened in the car, club, and the penthouse bathroom. So this is another YouTube, not YouTube, but she's on YouTube as well, though. This is another Twitterer, Kate Miss Marco Polo. And so it says, before the jury arrives, the sides discussed and issued Jabari's medical records. There's a label on the paperwork, nothing noting domestic abuse, but the side stipulated to redact that. I guess that's not to prejudice the jury, I'm sure. Did Majors talk to you about your working visa? Yes. Majors was going to help Jabari with this when she came here to stay with him so she could also work, but this was never accomplished. So again, she's from England, and so that was part of what that was all about. In order for her to stay here, she would need to be with him, or he was at least going to be helping with that, giving her the opportunity to move to America and being able to work while she's here. Some crap about makeup. She removed the makeup. All right, let's go on up to see what else we have that's of interest. So this guy who's also covering the case here says insights on this case has been incredibly helpful in telling the story the mainstream media won't share. Does it make sense that when they reported on the direct and cross, all the outlets detailed was Grace crying and feeling hurt, and that was it? So that's all the media wants to tell you about. They don't want to tell you about the fact that she created the initial act of physical aggression by snatching his phone out of his hands. They don't want to tell you about the fact that he had his car with the driver that they were in, that he was paying for, stop. And he let her keep the car, and he got out of the car. Matter of fact, he tried to get her to stay in the car while he was leaving and walking away, as men always said they were supposed to do. When he tried to walk away, she kept accosting him, and she says he was trying to get me off of him. This is what Grace Jabari, the so-called victim, says. He's abusing her, but she is on him by her own testimony. And then when she wouldn't leave him alone, he not just walked away, he literally ran away. And all this is on video. We have not been able to see this video, but this video was played in court, and it was prior to videos of mine. You can see where that is recounted by someone who was in court. So at one point, Grace almost gets hit by a car. This is when she's running from him. I mean, when he's running from her, she almost gets hit by a car. She said she didn't even see the car. She was trying to be with Jonathan Majors. How is he abusing her by running away from a confrontation that she has initiated and continues to aggress with? He does everything he's supposed to do, even runs away, not just walks away, runs away to the point she's about to get herself hit by a car, but somehow he is the aggressor. And these are the kind of things that we're learning even from the cross-examination. And so I come back to my point that this is all about O.J. Simpson. It makes no other sense. There is nothing that suggests that Jonathan Majors beat this woman. Actually, they had to drop 4 of the 8 charges before the trial started. Between picking the jury and the beginning of testimony, they dropped 4 of the charges on day 1 of the trial, or day 2, because he's clearly not guilty of these things. And so they were trying to charge any and everything they could come up with, and it didn't work. They had to drop 4 off top because they know they couldn't prove their case. And now they're putting on a prosecution case. All of this stuff I'm telling you about is the prosecution's case. The defense hasn't even started. The prosecution's witness in the prosecution's case is telling you all these things, that it's not him, it's her. But they've decided they're going to get him. They're not going to allow another OJ. This is what it's all about. And it's crazy that this district attorney's office in New York feels so emboldened to blatantly go after a man based on social ideological beliefs that men are always the problem, men are always wrong, and all women are victims anytime anything happens, even though they even have video evidence of what happened, her aggressing him, and they have her testimony saying the same. But they can still come after this man. So It all begins, brothers, with first you not being engaged with people like this. And I don't just mean being engaged to be married, that you not interact with women, that you not date women, that you not have women in your life, that you not have women in your presence who are erratic, who think they have the right to touch a man in any kind of violent, aggressive respect, who think it's women's right to hit men because they're small or somehow they have the right to disrespect your physical person. They have the right to put their hands on your property, destroy your property. If you're dealing with a woman who shows any signs of acting erratic or aggressive in these manners, you don't deal with her. You don't deal with her. That's an L. And that's where it starts. You have to make decisions about who you're dealing with and not allow people into your life who don't deserve to be there, who don't meet standards, who do not have the feminine qualities of reservedness and submission and softness. These aggressive, manly, entitled women should not be in your life. And again, that's why it's so surprising that Jonathan Majors is choosing to jump out of the frying pan and into the fire. It's I can understand that he likes that she's being supportive and that's great, but why he's even started to date a 42-year-old modern woman who we know what her attitudinal disposition is. She didn't even want to be submissive and give children to her husband and be submissive to her husband for 10 years. And this is the woman now that you're going to engage yourself with, who's 42 while you're 34. It doesn't make sense. You need to bring women into your life who meet your standards and who are appropriate for your life. Keep this in mind, and let's keep up on this case and keep up the support for the brother because they're really trying to put him through it on an agenda. Yobachi 2007. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I'm out.